I understand why, so many people are fearful. And I guess what people say is like, if you're not fearful, they're quick to just throw the crazy thing at you. And I just feel like I have friends that are respectful to me that don't want to say crazy. And I say, well, you could just say Yeezy then. You don't have to say
Yeezy right now.
You say, oh, we going Yeezy. Like if something
that sounds like an album title.
Yeah. if something is crazy and it's like you don't know if it's good or bad, that could be crazy. But if it's crazy and you know it's like really good, that's Yeezy.
That's Yeezy.
That's fine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment we have all been waiting for. I'm in the presence of someone that I consider a true friend, someone that I love, a man of God.
Please.
Yeah. Yes.
In this corner.
The one and only. Class is in session with Mr. Kanye West.
It's this whole thing where people are supposed to be, these express these superpowers, but then put on like a Clark Kent outfit or something and that express themselves like how they would express themselves. Yep. Like I always knew that I should have a vest on right now. Like I always knew I was going to wear a vest as a part of my campaign. My dad was like, so why did you wear a vest? I was like, I saw one. It just reminded me, I was like, oh man, I really meant to wear a vest.
That's the whole thing on my radio show. My whole thing, you used to do billboards and stuff. I'll be in my vest in LA because it's like,
you wear a vest.
We dangerous when we speak. So.
And also the rest of my outfit in South Carolina was actually the exact outfit that the security was wearing. So, and the vest is exactly what the security.
They can't be secure, and I'm not secure. I want to be just as safe as them. I'll tell you.
And just egalitarian saying to be, at the beginning, middle, and the end of the day, I'm a dad. And there's so many fathers that, they have jobs where their whole point in life is to take care of their family. Be a
provider.
And to be a provider. And, you can get, when you're supposed to provide only one service, like, we need your new album, it's to be able to go and just provide for your kids, but be able to set a tone of morality, a tone of spirituality. Like, God brought me to my knees multiple times. The first time that I was put into the hospital in 2016, I actually started reading the Bible. That was part of what God hit me with. And, God has a calling on all of us, and he uses us in different ways because, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like being cool. I didn't go into an environment to come off uncool.
Right.
Why would I want to come off uncool if I've been, telling Forbes for 3 years to put me on the list and they intentionally snubbed me off the list? Yeah. I felt like Forbes kept snubbing me because they wanted to say, we can't show you a person being successful that didn't do it the exact way that we told you need to do it in order to be successful.
Right. You got to follow the model.
Yeah. So almost everything I break the model on it. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's like the model's not even interested in me. Yeah. Like people, a lot of times we point fingers at the makers of the world, the large organizations that created the school systems that we grow up in now. And what I'm saying now that we're working on schools and communities and cities, and I say cities, like people are like, oh, charter city? No, just city. Because it's charter cities almost like trying to make it like it's okay to say that you're building a city because that sounds more normal. If I sound normal, then the whole world failed, not just me. Like I should not say nothing that sounds normal. This is a very super normal situation that we're dealing with here.
And that's always been your vibe. Yeah. Man, it's an honor to really sit with you on this session of Cannon's class. I mean, it's probably going to be one. to sit with a true genius, a billionaire, artist, so many other things, but someone that I called a friend for so long. Multi-billionaire.
And multi-genius.
I forgot the multi.
No, because you know what my whole thing I hate about 1 billionaires? If they
Dude, I can't stand them 1 billionaire ass.
You know, if they go to Taco Bell, then they not a billionaire no more. And like, I love Taco Bell. You know,
But I want to still be a billionaire once I leave Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell and Bell. And like, I'm gonna tell you, better not nobody say nothing bad about Taco Bell. That's what's not finna happen.
We ain't gonna disrespect the Bell.
You ain't finna disrespect Taco Bell or ramen noodles.
In fact, we grew up on that.
I grew up on both of those things.
After school, Taco Bell, and then dinner, ramen noodles. Nah, but that's the thing, man. We sitting here talking and building out, and I just want to kind of back it up all the way.
You know what I wanted to say, though, just with the humility that God brings? What he says none of that matters, right? Because I went in from being snubbed by Snubbed by a magazine, but I was recognized by God, right? Where, you know, I would do Sunday service and it would be atheists that would come and tell me, well, maybe you shouldn't mention Jesus' name so much. Wow. And you know, that's all I need to hear. And I was like,
I'm gonna say it
Jesus. Thank you for
exactly.
Thank you for inciting the riot.
Yeah.
So look, this year it seemed like, you know, there was an accomplishment where, you know, I was on the Bloomberg list they finally recognized that my net worth at that time was $3.3 billion, and then my net worth almost doubled after I did the Gap deal to $5 billion. But the accomplishment was to have that and to be able to still be sensitive enough to cry at the idea of aborting my daughter, and to really.
And people didn't understand that. Like, they couldn't tap into it because they didn't see the humanity and the love that you were trying to put forward.
Or you got to put on a front because you're cool. Like, I had a friend that said, it seems like you're not enjoying it. Well, what's the it? Because North don't read Forbes. She just know if daddy is home or not.
Right.
You know, if I'm away for 2 weeks, she's like, Dad, I miss you.
Right.
It's like our family is just the key to the world, period. From our immediate family to our friends and family, our coworkers and family, our city and family, our state and family, our country and family, our world. That if we, just like everywhere you go, people say, hola, hello, ni hao ma.
Right.
I used to speak Chinese.
You went to school out there, right?
Yeah, so it's our culture to say hi. See, our culture, the culture of humanity, needs to be family, a culture of family, but the design of our cities, the design of our schools, there's a lot of things designed for us to that are designed to not promote family. They're designed to create separation.
Right.
And in that separation, there's capital opportunity. There's someone's lonely, has to go to the bar. Someone misses their friends, has to go to the club. Has someone, and so I really get into the study of like the kibbutz designs, and primitive cultures. When I'm designing cities, like I've been really going.
Go check. I see it when we pulled up out there. Just that the whole vibe of the infrastructure, the houses you build,
and I'm the guinea pig. I'm guinea pigging on myself. I gotta say, I've lived in every form of home. I've lived in China for a year. I was designing my first 2 collections that we showed in Paris. My high fashion collections. I was living in London, like right where they're having the riots in London. Our design studio was right there. I obviously was born in Atlanta, grew up in Chicago, lived in New York, and lived in California, and now I live in Wyoming. It's, you know, when I came to Wyoming, one of my favorite visuals was seeing a family of 3 deer right in front of a cabin. That just, it felt like that's God.
Right.
and man.
Yeah.
And just a simplicity. And here it's, the church is within walking distance. It's one school that I had made a donation to. With the school is inside the church.
Wow.
I remember when I was growing up, there'd be times where the school was actually inside of the church.
Yeah, that's how I grew up too.
When you remove the fear of God, the fear and love of God, you create room for the fear and love of everything else.
Right.
Now, I'm really into wording things in a positive affirmation. I would like to get to a point. We shall get to a point where, see, I said we because I intentionally didn't want to say I. So
Right.
we shall get to a point where we can communicate as simple as Yoda. There's so many words, and people get caught up in the words, and we're having fights over words.
Over words.
But in the future, we're going to be having wars over water. Actual essential. Now let's pray that the kids at MIT and the
Right.
ecologists can
Figure it out.
We can figure out so we don't get to that point. But just, you start to learn what the essentials are. Like
Right.
it's funny, you could just see a picture, because like I've like bought McMansions and redid them and tried to have add taste.
But still fitting into some kind of a mold.
Yeah, some construct, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. Somebody else's house is right there, so I got to make sure mine is flyer than theirs and all of that vibe.
Yeah, one of the things where I disappointed myself is when we went to Architectural Digest, when we I've been reading Architectural Digest since I was 18 years old, so it was always a dream of mine to be in Architectural Digest. But I always promised myself I wouldn't start buying like multi-million-dollar piece of art. Sure enough, by the time we get there, I got this Anish Kapoor.
Right.
It's this $1 million piece of art that Axel Vervoort sold me.
Fly shit.
Yeah, and I'm just, but nah, it's like, why you got $1 million piece of art when there's like homeless people in front of the Gucci store? And it's like, I start to, to get pulled into that. And this is the reason why, creating clothes at the Gap where everything is
Affordable.
Yeah, under $100.
Yeah.
Like Old Navy prices.
Yeah.
But then having the Apple of design, the highest. We got designers that worked at Louis. We got designers that worked at Celine. So when I was really going on the waterproof bags, this is how God is. One of my favorite designers that works with us, like this girl is super cool. Like she walked in like a Vetmont or Balenciaga show and everything. She's one of our designers. She worked on a season 8 show. She has the freshest references, and we were talking about these this bag, the idea of waterproof bags, and I'll just say right out back, when me and Virgil used to go and intern with Giuseppe Zanotti, and he was teaching us how to design shoes and everything, we would be in the airport and we saw the shoe by Nike called the Roche.
All right.
And it was the number 2 selling shoe that Nike had. The number 1 is the Monarch, which is like the main dad shoe.
Yeah.
So, and this is before dad shoes became cool.
A thing.
So I looked at that Roche and I said, I need to replace that shoe. And now when you go to the airport, you definitely see 350s and you don't really see the Roche anymore.
Yeah.
So now when I'm talking about bags,
You about to replace the
I'm looking at, what's that we looking at over
that
there?
Louis bag.
That Louis Duffel. I remember how the Louis Duffel made me feel when I would go to Atlanta to work with Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
And there'd be somebody with like a throwback jersey,
Yeah.
a Rolex, a Louis Duffel,
Yeah.
maybe a polo shirt,
Yup.
some Jordans.
Yup.
Man, I was just thinking, man, in my contract, in my Adidas contract, I definitely should be able to wear Jordans, man. You can't, Jordans
stop
need to be part of reparations. You can't tell a black man not to wear Jordans.
Not wear Jordans. That's hilarious. That's in our DNA.
Any deal,
Yeah.
but you can wear Jordans. And also, you could wear your friends' clothes.
Yeah.
Also, that was all of this kind of divide and conquer thing.
Mine is better than yours.
Yeah, that's why I had to there was like this designer that we visited before named Walter Van Beirendonk, is a talented guy. And, he was coming out, had something to say about Virgil's last show. And what happens is a lot of times, like, I don't know if this is called Jim Crow, but in the media, with black people, we're always on our own. We can get to a place of success and we'll tear ourselves down. Virgil, you spent $50 on man. If y'all don't shut up,
leave Virgil alone.
bro, but all of us, you,
Yeah.
me, Virgil, anybody in that position, it's always about how we gonna tear each other down. So I came, I said, Walter Verum, I can't even say, Walter, look at this African cubism right here. Now look at Picasso, the most famous artist in the world.
Right.
Some look similar to you.
Right.
Picasso copied African cubism.
Right.
And that's what's been happening to black artists our entire life.
Our existence.
Our whole swag get knocked off.
From
Now,
the beginning.
Virgil makes it out of the myrtle capital of the world to
Right.
the #1 fashion house in the world. And somebody got something to say?
Right.
What? You? It's just like me, Virgil, when he went to Louis, that hurt me. That definitely.
Really? Tell me why.
Absolutely, bro, because I was the Louis Vuitton Don. I was
But
the one.
you opened the door for
I
him.
know I opened the door, but then I wanted to be the Louis
But
Vuitton
that's the
Don.
thing. But you did what you did at Louis. You did what you did at Nike. You did what you did at Adidas. Now you at Gap.
Yeah, exactly. And someone from Gap, I said, man, it was always my dream. And he was like, he's like, Louis Vuitton was your life dream? I was like, no, look how God is. Actually, Gap was my dream because I was working at Gap.
You worked at Gap.
Getting fresh at the Gap, not being able to afford Abercrombie and getting polos off of layaway at TJ Maxx and Marshalls before I even knew what Louis Vuitton was. Before I knew the idea. I never heard the word high fashion.
Right.
We was just getting
fresh with polos and khakis.
Yeah, Jabot.
Yeah. Facts.
Cross colors,
Yeah.
Kanai,
Yeah.
Gap, whatever. So it's one of those ones where we got pulled in culturally by what Marc Jacobs was doing because he was tapping into our culture and connecting with us when he did the Millionaires with Pharrell, when he did these glasses called the Millionaires with Pharrell. And when he did the shoes with us. And it's funny how like non-competes, if you get these deals and they have non-competes, right? So God had a plan, right? There was no non-compete. High fashion was never in a competition with sportswear. So when my first shoes came, God had the Nike Yeezys and the Louis Vuittons.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you was the only one to have Louis and Nike at the same time, and both of the shoes was fresh.
Yeah. Yes. And I had a lot of Louis.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when they were upset. They were like, oh man, we didn't think of that. We had no idea that you were gonna have a Nike come out at the same time that your Louis Vuitton sneaker came out. So then they started putting these non-competes. And the funny thing is, I was talking to a gentleman that works at an ad agency, and he said that right when I went to the Gap, we don't say the Gap, it's Gap. With no THE. So right when I went to Gap got put on the non-compete for everything.
Wow.
Instantly, boom.
We want it all.
This is now on everyone's non-compete list. So what I'm saying, so back to like when Virgil went to Louis, he had to break me down, bro. And this is what I love about me crying about my daughter. And this is what I love about people ridiculing me about it.
It's being vulnerable.
Because I need all that.
Yeah, because he about to take it to another level again.
I need all that smoke. I need all that because I got a big head.
Yeah, and you need to hear that.
And I need to hear that.
But you use it as fuel.
It's a fuel, but also it is truly a humbling. Like people say, I feel closer to God when I'm at the top of a mountain. I feel closer to God when I'm on my knees talking to my children. The lower we get, the closer we get to God. We are earthbound creatures. We gravity bound. The fastest jet goes Mach 3. The fastest sled goes Mach 6.
Closer to the ground.
Yeah, when I did Coachella, we built this mountain. And then afterwards, we tried to do like this mountain in this park in our backyard.
Yeah.
And Ray Romulus, who worked with us on Sunday service, said it sounded like we just had a Coachella hangover or something. Right. And then we took the mountain and we shaped it this way. Do you know what happened with the sound? Have you ever put an iPhone in a cup?
Yeah, it amplifies.
It amplifies.
Yeah.
So actually, for the fact that we got lower, our sound amplified. We are lower the more humble we are.
Yeah.
Because I'm walking around like, now what? Y'all said I'm crazy. Y'all said this. Y'all said that. Like, I got the Forbes list. I got this. I got that. And God was like, shut up.
Yeah.
It is about my son, Jesus Christ.
Right.
And it is about what I have given you. My son has died for you.
Right.
It's nothing that you can do more than this. Like, and me and Don C be arguing about this because he's Catholic. I'm like, man, I don't want to argue with none of my Christian brothers about acts. You know, like that's the whole thing. It's like Catholics are like these acts and you perform. And we be feeling like, man, yo, we got a special place in heaven, and it's certain sects of Christianity.
Denominations, there's 16,000 of them just in America.
Okay, boom. So and then some have multiple levels of heaven, and sometimes you think you do something good, and you're like, man, I know this right here, and it's like, bro, God had his son die.
Right.
God, you can't go, you can't, he's already paid the price. And we are living inside of his house. Life is a gift that he's given us. And to be in service is the greatest thing that we could do for ourselves, for each other, and for God. And there's studies on this. It's about 5 of these things. I can only name 2 of them. But your dopamines and your serotonins is like about 3 more of these. Yeah. And the studies are, when you talk about the happiest countries in the world, that you're happiest when you're giving.
When you're,
Okay. But not even for your.
That's how you find yourself.
Yeah, it say, let me not be in the way of me or in the way of blessings that God might have for me. Because if I hadn't have came and gave Virgil that hug at then, Louis, God wouldn't have came back and blessed me. Right. With this opportunity. Because what I love about the opportunity at the Gap is opportunity to be in service. Right. Because I remember being a 14-year-old that couldn't afford things. Right. So I was always interested in Costco. Right. Walmart.
Walmart was like Disneyland to us.
Yeah, because it's or Best Buy. I used to be hanging by the flat screens.
Exactly.
DVDs, CDs.
Hoping they got one of the little video game joints that you can play for free.
Remember, you used to have to look at a CD and decide. You start looking at the track list, start looking at the cover.
Dang, should I get this one or that one?
My dad would be like, man, you could pick one tape for the summer. I'm like, Dad, I do music.
This going to take us to the top. Give me as much as I need.
I remember looking at a UMC tape and a P-Rock tape.
Wow.
And I ended up figuring out how to, get my allowance up and be able to get both.
And I see the love that you have for hip hop, and like man, we go back almost 20 years now, man, and just like you said, from day one we was broke type of thing. But one thing I've always known about you, you've always been the same person that's had the same sincerity and the same love for God. Like even from Jesus Walks to where we are today, and then even now, your messaging is a message of love, and that's where people, I think Martin Luther King said it, the best, that it's like, it's before the victory is won, it's going to be a lot of us that are actually going to be misunderstood and called bad names. But we got to embrace that and just walk in that until the job is done.
You think people don't be understanding me?
Hey, people don't be understanding us. We in this together, yeah. And I say that too because and I'll tell you exactly how a lot of this even came out. I'm walking through the airport dealing with all of the drama that I'm dealing with, and you and I have been communicating daily. I appreciate you just person to person reaching out, checking on me, and all of that. And then I see this white man come up to me and just stick a camera in my face like, all right, here you go. He about to ask about all this stuff. And then when he saw he had no entry because I had an answer for him every time just based off of my own atonement, then he was like, well, what about Kanye West? And I'm like, what about? That's my man. And I was like, okay, this is like what Malcolm X talks about, the media. You know what I mean? Like what they try to turn the guilty innocent, the innocent guilty. That's the most powerful entity because it's gonna have you hating the people being oppressed and loving the oppressors. So I'm already in that zone. And then as soon as he bring your name up, I was like, I'm not gonna let this man try to make me ridicule my brother based off of something that he knows is gonna be clickbait, or it's like, that's my family. First thing I said, I love it. I love what Ye doing. And then he's like, come on, man, you're not gonna vote for him. I'm like, I'm not gonna give you what you need. So if you trying to make fun of me or him, you're not gonna get that. I'm gonna stand by my man because I vowed to never make to talk bad about any other black person in public, especially in media, but especially somebody that I love and consider my brother. So whatever he was trying, I was like, I saw where they was gonna go with this. So I'm like, yeah, whatever you saying. So I was like, I'm not gonna let you make me talk bad about my brother. But then now, even like they mad at the process because, and let's unpack that. But even like I saw somebody I love dearly, Stephanie Mills, said that you and I are paid slaves, like, and playing and acting like we're toys, or playing with our toys, and we need to take our toys and go back home because it's people. Well, she's not wrong. People, losing their lives, losing their jobs. This time is serious, and that we not taking what our powerful voices serious enough to help when, like I said, all I've known you to ever be is someone who wants to help and be sincere and of love, and even everything that you doing. And it's like, how do we deal with that when it's coming at us?
And where is home exactly? Where is home exactly, Stephanie?
Yeah. Did she have a song about being at home? She think it's a place in the Wiz.
Yeah. Also, look at our names.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like our names. Look at my last name. My last name's a slave name.
Right.
Where is home exactly?
But even for somebody else to call us that.
No, what I'm saying is like we don't know what kings really look like. We don't know. We're seeing them for the first time, and it's like the media would like to do anything to make you believe that that's not what we are. And that's not who we are. And honestly, we're two of the most honest and expressive people in media as far as black people go. And with me, it's like I don't use my mind. People are like, well, obviously he doesn't use his mind. No, I use my gut.
Instinct, your inner spirit.
I use my instinct. My instinct is infinite. My mind is limited and only an instrument.
Bars. Nah, man, and you touch on that in that same way to where, even that you talk about you in South Carolina and being vulnerable and opening up and you have such a passion, one, for your own children, but children around the world, and people feel like they want to say, oh, well, Ye doesn't know what he's talking about when he's coming to that, or why is he crying and all these things, where why not?
It's the world that thinks that you shouldn't cry and be in repentance when you just even to think and to fathom the thought, that is the world that is sick. The world is sick, but I'm going to tell you one thing about media. I'll hop in the car with a paparazzi. I hire paparazzi.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I could, hey, I know y'all. Let me tell y'all. I know y'all are right.
Call the paparazzi on myself.
Yeah, I call the paparazzi on myself. Like I know it's down because of COVID. I am hiring. I buy all the paparazzi companies. I want to pick the exact photo.
This is billionaire talk right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to get the exact. It's always been an idea of mine. I said, man, I should just purchase the paparazzi companies.
I'm pretty sure TMZ is for sale.
Man, in America, everything is for sale except for our souls.
Come on now.
And it's location. Now, people talk about location on some. You thinking I'm saying like you should spend more. I'm saying you should spend less. You could spend $100 million for neighbors if you want.
Right.
I ain't finna spend $100 million for neighbors.
Right. Facts.
I need no neighbors.
Right. There's definitely no neighbors out here.
If I'm dropping that, I need to have absolutely. Look. So, the idea of life. There's some harsh facts that deal with the black genocide that is abortion. And it's happening every day. And right now, God has given me the information, and he ain't gave me no other information other than this information. Right. And we have this right now. So that means he wants me to say this now. If God didn't want me to run on stage and say Beyonce had the best video, he would have sat me in the front row. I would have been sitting in the back. They wouldn't have made it the first award. And wouldn't have made it so ridiculous of an idea because I had never heard of this person before then. And this Single Ladies is like one of the greatest videos of all time.
So you spoke your mind. You spoke your truth.
I spoke, and I was only drinking Hennessy.
I was about to say you had a bottle of Hennessy.
Because I didn't want to go to the award show because it was a setup.
Right.
Now, okay, so now let's get to life. In 50 years, there's been 22 million, over 22,500,000 black people aborted strategically and on purpose. Planned Parenthood was set up and placed in minority communities to kill black people.
You're talking about when Margaret Sanger, the originator of Planned Parenthood at the time, because a lot of people, when you say things like that, in their defense, they say, well, Planned Parenthood today is a different organization. But what you
Here we go.
But what
Margaret
you cannot
Sanger
deny is these facts that Ye is about to give you right now.
Here we go. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was an avowed racist whose goal was to reduce the black population in America, and she succeeded. 80% of abortion clinics in America are in minority neighborhoods. Over 22,500,000 black babies have been aborted in 50 years. Over 1,000 black babies are aborted every day. So that means we are inside of it as we speak.
This is genocide. So wait,
we are inside of genocide as we speak.
What about the people that are going to argue and say, but you know, Kanye doesn't have the right to speak on that because he's not a woman. The fact that Planned Parenthood does a lot of amazing things and they're in those communities because they need to be in those communities.
Well, I have to go to the word. God says he knew you before you were in the womb.
Yep, Jeremiah 1:5.
Yeah. So I got one other statistic. Abortion is the #1 killer of black lives in the United States, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Mm-hmm. Abortion kills more black people than HIV, homicide, diabetes, accidents, cancer, and heart disease. Watch this one. Combined.
Yeah.
Combined, 3,000 shootings in Chicago a year, 700 murders. You got to put that with heart disease. You got to put that with HIV. You got to put that with diabetes. You got to put that with just accidents.
Yeah,
and you put that with cancer. Yeah. And it doesn't add up to specifically abortions. And if you think about that number, 1,000 black babies are aborted each day. Yeah. And it's funny because I've sent this to people, and there's some people that say, wow, that touches me. There's some people say, I feel that. And there's an overwhelming amount of people that I sent it to, and their response was, thank you for sending that.
With no emotion.
With no emotion. Thank you for sending? Thank you for, why would you thank anyone for sending that? I didn't even want to have to say the information out loud. But God said, "Yay, I need to use you. I'm one of the bullhorns. He's just been prepping me, and he's been protecting me."
Yeah, we've been talking about this for years. I mean, you and I put "Can I Live Together," and probably my best record, co-produced by Kanye West.
Well, most people's records that are co-produced by Kanye West usually are their best record.
No, but we joke, but in something serious, this is something that's been, close to us because we both grew up with single mothers who were put in a situation.
I had a non-custodial father. That's right. My dad was and also what I want to say is I love my mom. My mom and my dad had an agreement that I would see my dad every other week, see my mom every other week. She took a job in Chicago because it paid more. And then I would only see my dad on spring break and in the summertime.
Yeah,
so
same.
a white organization offered this black woman more money, and I saw my dad less.
Wow. And that, I mean, and see, this is where I see the passion. Like I said, we've both been put in the situations to where, you know, our mothers was young, they had us, so we feel a certain way. My mom was on the way to the abortion clinic. You know, our fathers had very similar situations about, you know, not necessarily being ready or wanting a child in that moment, but we're here because of that. Is this the reason why, you know, is this what you're utilizing your platform now? Because with the whole presidency thing, because that's the other thing. Like, because people asking me like, "Are you Ye's vice president now?" And what like where is the message? And can you do all of this without the presidency, or is this really important for Kanye 2020?
Well, it hit me to run for president in 2015.
Right,
And
we saw that.
It was about 3 days before the award show.
I was there. I was like,
and it hit me, and it was funny to me, when I said, I was like, this is it. I'm gonna say this, and then also when I came up with the name of my party, the birthday party. It was funny to me. It was just crazy. It was Jay-Z. I was like,
Jay-Z.
That's it. The
but
birthday
party. But it was genius
party.
at the same time.
And you know what made it so? I can only give God the glory because of the connection point to the birthday. The connection point to the birthday party is dealing with life and pro-life.
Right.
Because these are kids that now are going to get a chance to have birthdays. Like for Daily Mail, who want to tear me down, for anyone who wants to tear me down for crying, you realize that because of South Carolina, there are people who have decided to have the child because they connected. And if they were on the fence about it, they never saw anyone in my position take that position.
Facts.
And say, look at this. This is a 7-year-old right here. And she might have never made it here.
Right.
And so when I talked to my father made me apologize to him for bringing this up publicly.
I've had that conversation with my father as well.
And then he also said, you know, the abortion culture teaches people that a child isn't a real soul. And it was my wife that said, this is a soul. And the scariest thing is she had the pills. You know, you take these pills, you take them, and the next morning the baby's gone. She had the pills in her hand. And a lot of times people say, well, they want to jump to the most radical reason of why someone would not have a child. I said, you know why I said not have a child? Because I'm still so mindful as a man about using the word abortion. That's how shook we are about using the word abortion as men.
It's a topic that they say as men, we should not be able, as two men sitting here, we should not be having a full conversation about abortion.
Well, that's a strategy to take the male opinion out of any conversation, just taking the leaders and the males out of neighborhoods in the 80s. It's like you take that opinion because you need both opinions.
Right.
You need the male and the female opinion. And also, it's both people's child. Now, I can get into, you know, the funny thing is I posted a picture because I read that in New York. I heard that you can abort after 9 months. But I saw on Google, they said 24 weeks. And I showed a picture on my Twitter of a 24-week-year-old fetus. Would that be the term? And I got backlash. How you gonna put up that abortion tweet? And you know what it is? I was trying to appeal to humanity. But we can see in this world by the reaction that people had to me crying that there is no humanity. You could see the state of the world.
Well, it's a lot of people in pain, it's a lot of people. So they focus on their pain and like they want to polarize. They want to say this is where you're wrong. You can't do this. You can't do that, or ridicule or make fun of it.
Yeah. So now, since there is no humanity, then there has to just be God and man, and you can't serve two masters. So, who are you working for?
Right, and that's the question for the ages. So the fact that you have such an influence, such an amazing power. You've proven people wrong time and time again. So people take you very seriously when you say these things. So when you speak on topics that are polarizing, like abortion, when you speak on topics even like the man's place, the black man's place in society, when you speak on the efforts of being able to say what you want to say, does that ever? Because I know you're a man of instinct, but does that the backlash that you do receive? Do you ever get concerned about that? Because I don't, and I didn't. But now, when I hurt people with my words, I didn't mean to do that, and that's where I was like, all right, this is a different energy for me. Because I used to be, like, you know how we vibe, like say what the hell I want to say. But when people are in pain, and then you see people come to conflict because of what you said, that can't be what you want.
Bro, we be having to act like housekeepers in America. The most influential, strongest black voices have to act like housekeepers. And what I mean by that is, and I love housekeepers, right? But a housekeeper, if one housekeeper speaks up, they're going to say, shut up, you're going to get us all fired. That's our position. We were brought over here in servitude to this country. So as soon as we start to make any moves, if it's not the way that we were told, the way that we were bought, the way then you crazy. Bro, I got snubbed off the Forbes list for 2 years that they said I wasn't a billionaire. How you jump from a net worth of $240 million to $3.3 billion?
Right.
Unless you've been snubbed. And it felt like we're not going to allow people to know that someone that didn't follow our rules could actually make it.
Right.
Then God gave increase.
Right.
You know, when I had Sunday service, when I went to the hospital the first time, one of the things I wrote down was start a church in Calabasas. And we sang Jesus' name to the hills in the center of the city of Los Angeles. Well, actually, in a suburb of the city of Los Angeles. But that just didn't sound as fresh. But I stood in the gap. You know, we say that. We say we stand in the gap. We standing in the gap. And God said, I got something for you. I'm going to have you standing in the gap for real. For real. And the funny thing is, you know.
And it's full circle for you.
Yeah, yes, 27 years.
Right.
27 years since I got fired at the Gap. Let me not even put that out there.
You're not going to get fired this time. You're a boss. You can't fire a boss.
Well, man, you know, it's like when your name connected to the stock price. So
you've had those conversations too, I see. Don't mess this up. The shareholders are they're betting on you.
So God had me stand in the gap, and just much like David. Now, even if you're non-Christian, you know the story of David and Goliath. But just to get, and I'm a new Christian. You know, I'm just a recent convert. Grew up in the church, but I'm a recent convert. So God had David tend to the sheep. And when Goliath came to town, no one had known that David had to fight a lion, had to fight a bear. And he said, I just need these 3 smooth stones. As we know, everybody knows the story.
Yeah,
that
the jawbone. Yeah.
So one of the interesting things at Sunday service, I actually had to design wardrobe all the time. And I spent every dime that I had for marketing from Yeezy on Sunday service.
Wow.
Every dollar I had, I spent $50 million last year.
Wow.
On Sunday service. If you add up the operas,
wow.
If you add up the flights, there was 120 people going to Jamaica. Wow. But the Yeezys,
all out of your pocket.
Well,
to spread the gospel.
Yes. With the Yeezys, they were selling themselves.
Yeah.
So instead of paying for ads, I invested it in the church. I invested in spreading gospel. I invested
Sound like tithes to me.
Yeah. I invested in saying Jesus' name on high.
Yeah.
And then when people talk about increase, bro. Look how we just hit that bro at the same time. That's the zone.